Okay, so we're about 2 hours before the close of the US stock markets on Tuesday, the 5th of April, 5th of August, get it right. Now, AMD reports after the bell this evening, so I thought we'd take a look at what we might expect. This is the long-term weekly chart of AMD, and it was just in range bound and then dropped out the bottom of the range into the 2015 low. So it wasn't actually aligned at all with markets coming off the 2009 lows. And then we've had this huge impulse structure to the upside, taking the stock from below $1 to a current price of 177. It's been an absolute tear. So where are we in that process? Well, 5 up to here for a 1 and a 2 back. At this high here, we hit a 123.6 bottom up fib to the penny. So this is absolutely textbook from AMD. 1, 2, then a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the 3 of 3, which we expect to hit the 123.6. Now this, I could count the 4 in here and an ABC 1, 2, this would be an A of 3 up. That's one possibility. I actually think what's actually happened is a W, X, Y. We've had a running expanded flat for the 4, which is in here, and that's the low that we saw in April this year. And if you look at this, we've had a huge move out of it. Again, it's part of our short-term focus list, and if you look at the indicators on the weekly chart, we were in a green zone, momentum was coming up, CRSI buy, Mansfield buy. As usual, the trender gave us the early heads up, and you look at all of the wave cycle trader indicators all firing long. We've got a consensus of 10 to the upside. I think what we're seeing is a wave 1 up of a final 5-wave move. Now, it may or may not have a little higher to go here, and I would contend that it does in actual fact. If I add the cycles in, they're a slight concern. They're saying that we should be looking at a pullback imminently. That's weekly. Let's then take this down to a daily time frame in AMD. And if we look at the structure off here, I mean, I would suggest that's an ABC into here, which means this is a diagonal structure, pullback, ABC. We've come up to a 1.0 extension with the wave 1 and 3 are equal. That's typical of a diagonal, and that would suggest we're about to get a little pullback in a 4 to around the 141 to 132 area before we get a 5th up to 243. Then we're going to see a larger retrace against the rise off that April low. Now again, if we look at the tools coming off the wave 4 low, there's your buy signals, and you can see them all here, and you can see safe to own in the green shaded zone with the signal positive from the Mansfield. CRSI breaking out with a breakout buy here, and it's still well above the line. Now it's starting to curl back down towards the signal line. Look at the daily cycles. So the low was indicated slightly earlier than it actually came in. Now we're suggesting possibly a little higher before we see a pullback. Now, if we push up tonight and take out the highs, and I suspect we're going to, I think they're going to beat on earnings, and I think we are going to see another pop higher, in which case I would expect to see 201, the 123.6 fib, before we start to come down. That holds the possibility of potentially, if I give this the benefit of the doubt of 5 in there, of this being a 3 of 3 of the wave 1, if it holds a very shallow retrace and then continues to subdivide higher. So in summary, providing AMD here holds above, I'd like to see it hold above 166.52, but the must-hold level would be 149.75. We may well see another pop up to 201.09. I would then expect to see a pullback, and I would favour it coming deeper down here towards 132 before we see another ABC structure to the upside in AMD. The only other thing here is we've not made a new all-time high, and we cannot rule out, if I go back to that weekly chart for a moment, this wave 4 being ongoing. So you've got an A, B, C, D, and we still get an E wave down in the 4. So you've got to be on your toes here. Earnings plays can be an absolute crapshoot. So if you've owned the stock off the April low or anywhere near, then you either ought to have banked the profits or be hedged. If you're an options trader, that's different because you've got a very, you can limit your absolute risk. But in terms of holding stock here, not for me. I would wait. I think there'll be another better opportunity for another major leg up in AMD, whether it's from a wave 2 pullback for a move, I would say, to at least 847, or whether it's part of a wave 4 that's still ongoing, which I would view as an absolute gift if we were to see that. Now, relative rotation graphs, we looked at these yesterday when we were looking at PLTR, and AMD came up because it's part of the same grouping. And you can see that PLTR and AMD have been the strongest two on a daily basis. But AMD here, it's still in leading. It's been heading down, this is AMD here, towards the weakening. But just today, it's turned back up. Now, that doesn't really surprise me in that you often see stocks in the session or so before their earnings start to push up, and that's what we've seen. What I would be on the lookout for here today in AMD is whether we take out this little high here on the earnings. If we take out 180.54, I think we're going to take the top out at 185.92 and head up to 201. But I would expect a pullback after that. Should we take out 166.67, then I would suggest we're already in the wave 4 pullback in AMD. So let's see what we get.